Do you have an AeroPress but make a mess every time you use it? I'm going to show you how to make an AeroPress clean and easy and oh so tasty. Here's what you'll need. An AeroPress, of course. Some AeroPress filters that probably came with your AeroPress, or you can use cloth or metal filter. You don't need this fancy wall stand, but it's very convenient for your AeroPress. You'll also need a coffee grinder and coffee, or get this, ground coffee. Then you'll need some hot water from a kettle or some other heating device. And then you'll also need a towel. That's it! There's a lot of recipes to make an AeroPress, but I like to use Tim Wendelbo's recipe, which is 14 grams of coffee to 200 grams of water. And make sure you're using some mighty fine water. You can do some research on some good brew water for coffee. There's a few parameters that you want to make sure and check to make sure you have a really good cup of coffee that you come out with. We're going to start out by weighing the beans. So 14 grams. I know that's around a scoopful with this AeroPress scooper. A little more, that was 16. So yeah, that's close enough. And you want to get a medium fine grind, so around what you would use for a V60 or other pour over filter methods. I'll show you what that looks like. On the Niche Zero, I'm using around a 45 setting. I know on the Baratza Encore, when I used that, it was around 15 to 20 for that setting. So I just like to tap the top to get all the extra little bits out. And that's about what you want your grind size to look like. Not too many boulders, not too many fines. It's kind of the baby bear size of coffee grounds. Alright, let's weigh that out. 14.28. So I'm just gonna take some out to get closer to 14. You don't have to because it's pretty close enough. That's the bell of grindfulness. Make sure you take a deep breath while you're grinding. Inhale all of those aromas. And now let's heat up our water. I like to do around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, but you might want to do a little lower if your coffee is a little darker roasted. Now that our water's at temp, I am going to wet the filter, just a little bit of water, just a splash. And I have my AeroPress set up in the inverted style. I personally prefer this, and this is where it gets a little messy. But I'm going to show you how it doesn't have to be messy. So let's pour our coffee into the AeroPress. Give it a little shake shake. and I like to use the paddle to stir, so I'll be using that. So now that our water is at temp and our coffee is ready, we can start the timer right as the water touches the coffee. And we're going to go up to 200 grams of water. Just make sure you try to submerge all the grounds while you're pouring. Paddle will come in later to get the rest. And 200. Beautiful. So now we don't need the scale. Let's set that aside. But we do need the timer on it, so don't turn it off just yet. Just give that a nice stir. Put the paddle down. Put the paddle down. And put the lid on. And the rag. The rag is where we make it less messy. So, press down. We're around 1:15, which is perfect timing. We're gonna put the cup on top of the AeroPress, flip her over, and press. You don't have to put too much pressure into it, just a nice solid amount. Until you hear a little hiss. And then we wipe that bottom part, flip it back over, and you have yourself a very tasty cup of coffee. And if you have a knock box, this is where that comes in handy. So take the lid off. Boom. So easy. Ugh. And your counter is still sparkly clean. Cheers to you, bud. Have a nice cup of coffee.